Hello, everyone. I am Judy Foster, and I have finally found the courage to share my story. This is the story about a friend who changed my views on life dramatically. I grew up as a dramatic child. I'd throw a tantrum if I didn't get the exact food I demanded for, and I'd throw one as a teenager if my nail broke. I have a billionaire business father and a top fashion designer mother. I grew up getting all I wanted without thinking much. I'd ask that a maid be fired if she didn't get my coffee right, or a driver be fired if he came a second late. But when I think about these things now, it is quite shameful to say the least. Even though my parents were barely ever around, they made sure I got everything I wanted with a snap of the finger. Shoes, clothes, cars were never a problem. But I'd always wished my parents were home most times that I needed their presence and not their money. In a bid to not feel so alone, I had my friends stay over. In short, I practically ruled the Foster Mansion with my best friend Angie Simmons. Angie and I attended the same kindergarten school, moved on to the same high school, and even got into the same varsity. At school, everyone wanted to be friends with us, but we weren't letting anyone into our circle. One weekend, Angie got seriously mad at me for something I thought was trivial. We were shouting at each other all over the house. "How could you, Judy? Just how?" Angie shouted. "I never knew you liked him that much. It was," I screamed. "You never knew? Have you heard me talk about any other guy since I ran into Brody?" Angie said. "Look, I thought it was one of those guys you just, or maybe you never thought anything except for your own damn self, obviously." "Don't say that, Angie. Don't. I ain't sleeping here today," Angie said as she stormed out of the room with a bag filled with clothes in her hands. Then it dawned on me that I had seriously messed up. We were fighting about Brody. I knew she liked him, but I thought he was just like every other guy she'd like at a period in time and move to another. It meant nothing to me, and I told Angie about my thought. Angie and I didn't speak for weeks, and my life was a mess. I didn't want to live without Angie. We've been together for years. I did what I know how to do best. I showed up at her house with flowers, a huge teddy, and chocolates. We talked, and I finally said the words, "sorry." She knew I meant it because I never say sorry to anyone. She told me about a party she was planning on attending later that night when I asked to join. We dressed up and headed to the party. It was fun, so much to drink, and before long I was tipsy. You know how they say alcohol goes in and truth comes out? That's exactly what happened. I was so drunk and spilled the actual truth to Angie as she was driving us home. She was livid. I had told her that Brody and I shared a kiss and had sex. We started arguing again as Angie was driving. "You're the worst, Judy." "I know that, Miss Goody Two-Shoes," I replied while I was drunk. "Goody Two-Shoes? Is that your problem right now? Because I could choose to be a good person while you go about caring about nothing else but yourself." Aye, something new. You know what? I'm so done with you. I'm taking you out of my life. I couldn't concentrate on what she was saying. There was a truck coming and Angie was in its lane. She didn't focus. The last thing I remember was shouting, "Angie!" I woke up days later at home, but on drips. My parents were around me and shed tears of joy. I was weak, but managed to ask after Angie. They said she was fine. It wasn't until I regained my strength days later and asked after Angie again that the truth was told. Angie didn't make it. My mom told me she died on the spot, and I was still breathing a little. It was all my fault. I was the terrible person. Why did she have to go? I couldn't come to terms with the death of Angie even till this very moment. Angie's death brought out a new me, the me she would have adored if she were here. I've started a foundation in her name, the Angie Foundation. I needed to be a good person as she wanted me to be, and I think this is a good start.